Akatsuki Osawa, born on Earth, returns home after vanquishing the Demon King Gallius in the realm of Alizard, bringing along a girl named Miu. Gallius had entrusted his daughter, Miu, to Akatsuki as his dying wish. A hooded Akatsuki escapes from a group of maids dispatched by Risti and Valkyria, who aim to prevent the hero from going back to Earth. Akatsuki manages to incapacitate most of the maids by slipping off their undergarments and whispering in their ears. Deep within the forest, he encounters Valkyria and most of her maid crew again, before defeating them in combat. As morning arrives, Risti Elda Sherfeed, the Princess of Sherfeed, awaits Akatsuki's arrival and inquires about his confrontation with Valkyria, but he disregards her and walks past. He is aware that she commanded Valkyria and her battalion of maids to block his return to Earth. Suddenly, upon noticing Risti crying, he kisses her, prompting her to slap him. Furious, she shouts at him, instructing him never to return to Alizard or to her. She then strides away, ignoring his final words that he would come back to her. Upon his return to Earth, he goes to his home. He opens a bag to disclose the naked Miu that he brought from Alizard. Miu was oblivious to her situation, and he informs her that from this point on, she will be known as Miu Osawa, pretending to be his sister, and she should regard him as her brother. The next day, Miu gets dressed in school clothes since Akatsuki tells her they will be attending JPN Babel, a school for magic users from other worlds. Later, Miu is summoned for an examination and a blood test, which causes her anxiety that the results might indicate she is not from Earth and could lead to her expulsion, despite Akatsuki's reassurances. Eventually, Miu feels relieved when the results turn out fine, just as Akatsuki assured her, although she still struggles with calling him her brother. Meanwhile, a meeting is underway in Babel's student council when there is a stir concerning Akatsuki being the true hero, destined to become the supreme king in the future, given his potential danger. In another part of the school, one of the instructors guides Akatsuki and Miu on a tour and instructs them to evaluate their strength in the training room to qualify for Babel School, but only if they succeed. Miu opts for a sword as her weapon, whereas Akatsuki chooses no weapon, depending solely on his strength and skill. Miu is the first to be evaluated, and as the instructor approaches with an offensive move, she employs her water elemental magic to create a fake barrier to knock him down. When Akatsuki is set to start his test, someone else arrives to replace the instructor. It is Kyoya Hikami, the student council president of Babel School. Kyoya then challenges Akatsuki to test his strength by trying to break his ice pillar and smash it to pieces. Akatsuki accepts the challenge and strikes Kyoya's ice pillar. While he only creates a dent, his strike does not break it. Nevertheless, Kyoya allows Akatsuki to pass his test since he believes that they will eventually fight each other, and he officially greets him and Miu as new students at the school. After they return home, Kyoya realizes that his ice pillar has indeed been shattered to pieces. Later that evening, at Akatsuki's home, both Akatsuki and Miu partake in the feast he prepared to celebrate passing their entrance exams. A flashback then occurs, depicting when Gallius the Demon King entrusted Akatsuki with the responsibility of caring for Miu and protecting her with his life, regardless of the circumstances. Akatsuki is asleep, and Miu, who still recalls being entrusted with his care, experiences a great deal of pain and begins to cry. As Miu observes Akatsuki sleeping, she considers killing him with her dark flame, but she has second thoughts and ultimately chooses to protect him for the time being. Then, Akatsuki seizes her and begins to grope her, which makes her feel uneasy, leading her to hit him with his alarm clock. The following day, on their first day at Babel High School, Akatsuki and Miu are the focus of attention from other students, which Akatsuki perceives as natural since it is typical for students to stare at transfer students. He also mentions that it is normal for any transfer student to occupy any seat they prefer. After they enter Class B, Akatsuki and Miu encounter their new classmate, Chikage Izumi. Izumi is aware of Miu's remarkable magic used during her entrance exam and subsequently warns Akatsuki about occupying the seat belonging to a troublesome student. Just then, a guy bursts into the classroom. This is Kenya Onizuka, the troublesome student Izumi had cautioned about. Akatsuki retaliates by knocking Onizuka out of the class and nearly crushing his skull until Miu intervenes and Akatsuki spares him. The Fukian arrives to investigate the situation and reprimands Akatsuki, prompting him to accompany them to the student council room. Akatsuki observes a reserved seat for Kyoya and takes a seat there. Later, the three student council members arrive and are taken aback to find Akatsuki in Kyoya's seat. Kyoya soon appears, and Akatsuki leaps from the seat and prepares to attack him. He avoids the strikes from the three members defending Kyoya, but eventually they manage to restrain him. Akatsuki initially believes Kyoya requested a grudge match against him, but it is revealed that Haruka is the one who called to inform him that the student council has marked him for classroom disturbances. As Akatsuki is about to return inside, a petite girl stands behind him, advising him not to enter. She introduces herself as Kuzuha Dumoto, the class representative of Class B. Kuzuha explains what the student council members are like, and as they reach the first floor, Haruka suddenly falls from above, landing gracefully using her wind elemental magic. Haruka notices that Akatsuki has taken her panties, compelling her to deploy her push knives in an attempt to destroy him, but he skillfully dodges and steals her bra, causing her to cover herself out of embarrassment, and ultimately leading to her defeat. Later, in the training room's closet, Akatsuki, Miu, and Kuzuha observe two girls kissing, one of whom is revealed to be Izumi, while Kuzuha disapproves of Izumi's actions, prompting the girl to flee in embarrassment. Unexpectedly, the door shuts, trapping Akatsuki and the girls inside. Kuzuha informs Akatsuki that once class concludes, another class representative will come to unlock the door, forcing them to wait. Subsequently, Kuzuha accuses Izumi, which leads to an argument between them. While waiting for assistance, Izumi playfully suggests to Kuzuha that she could use her earth magic to make a toilet, as Kuzuha feels the urge to urinate, but Izumi quickly apologizes for her teasing. Hearing Kuzuha's cries, Akatsuki thinks of a way to cheer her up, and Miu and Izumi offer to assist. He employs his Renkankei Kiko on their bladders, making them hold it together with Kuzuha to lessen their embarrassment, or possibly increase it. Akatsuki bites Kuzuha's ear. Kuzuha, Izumi, and Miu all urinate simultaneously. The girls then knock him out, and when Haruka opens the door, they all exit the closet, leaving him behind. While they shower, the girls come to the realization that Akatsuki is the one at fault from the beginning. Consequently, Kuzuha and Izumi reconcile their differences and become friends with Miu. Haruka questioning and reprimanding Akatsuki about his actions towards the girls while he grins. Miu remains upset with Akatsuki for forcing her to urinate with her friends inside the gymnasium's closet. Later, at Babel High School during lunch, Onizuka harasses a student named Tanaka, who has black hair, to drive him away, until Akatsuki retaliates against Onizuka to make him leave, and Akatsuki assists Tanaka by inviting him to move back in front. Onizuka is enraged and vows to take revenge on Akatsuki. Subsequently, while Izumi is enjoying lunch with Miu and another classmate, Kuzuha is summoned by Haruka in the student council room. Izumi discusses with Miu about the student council monitoring Akatsuki and asks her not to worry about it, but she wants her to keep herself and him in mind. Back in Class B, Kuzuha returns and has no intention of informing either Izumi or Miu about what occurred earlier that day. Kuzuha is about to reprimand Izumi for bringing a cute little doll that resembles Izumi herself to school, but Miu confesses that she was responsible for making that doll for her, and she also created one for Kuzuha, which she wishes to give to her, but Kuzuha declines the gift. Meanwhile, Akatsuki contemplates what actions he might take to assist Kuzuha. Later on, Kuzuha reflects on her aversion to attending school, where all the students are taller than she is. She is about to head to the elevator when Akatsuki shows up and enters the elevator with her. Akatsuki converses with Kuzuha about the student council assigning her a mission, but she worries that if she fails to submit her reports to the student council each morning, she will be sent to an elementary school. Additionally, she thinks that she will never grow up, considering her short stature. She turns to leave. However, Akatsuki decides to assist her. Later on, Izumi is accompanying Miu as she heads home when Miu conceals herself with Izumi and sees Akatsuki going to the manga coffee shop with Kuzuha. Observing that they are heading towards one of the couple's rooms, Kuzuha attempts to flee from Akatsuki, but he forcibly brings her inside. Akatsuki seemingly devised a method to transform her into an adult. Meanwhile, in the other room, Miu is attempting to listen to what Akatsuki is doing with Kuzuha when suddenly, Izumi grabs her balloons and is about to embrace her. Back in the other room, Akatsuki moves in to cuddle her in his manner so that she can become an adult, although this is not what she envisioned. He then embraces her, instructing her to weep and to smile, asserting that regardless of her height, school is where she belongs, causing Kuzuha to smile. Upon exiting the room, they encounter Miu and Izumi, and both girls believe he has acted inappropriately with her. The following day, in the student council room with Minami and Ryohei, Haruka is eagerly awaiting Kuzuha's updates, contemplating what she will do about Akatsuki, since she is still upset about him taking her undergarments. When Kyoya enters the room, he informs Haruka that he will personally handle any issues concerning Akatsuki, and she appears frightened when he casts her an intimidating gaze. Meanwhile, someone breaches a restricted area for students and, with access to the computer, creates a gigantic cockatrice empowered with its unique ability to permanently petrify anyone. During PE in the gymnasium, Miu is capable of activating her staff using her arms device, or AD for short, located on her wrist. The teacher informs her that she can also command her weapon to vanish, and she complies. On the other hand, Akatsuki is unable to activate his weapon because he lacks the ability to use his magic. Later, as he searches for his opponent for a practice duel, Akatsuki is about to join Miu, Kuzuha, and Izumi, but they disregard him when they notice his presence. Subsequently, Akatsuki requests Onizuka to duel with him, and since he cannot use his AD and is limited to a practice sword, Onizuka accepts the challenge. Another teacher has summoned a giant cockatrice for the students to battle the monster. It is disclosed that Onizuka is the one responsible for making that cockatrice extremely powerful. The duel commences between Akatsuki and Onizuka, with Onizuka employing his fire element to attack him, believing he has already secured victory. However, Akatsuki remains unharmed and deflects Onizuka's strikes. Afterward, Akatsuki seizes the opportunity to counterattack Onizuka, shattering his shield and rendering him unconscious. He takes Onizuka's AD and attaches it to his wrist. He observes that he can activate his weapon with multiple ADs, but even this is insufficient with only 2 ADs. Suddenly, during the conflict against the cockatrice, all the students are turned to stone. Kuzuha attempts to assault the cockatrice using her earth element, but it proves ineffective. Miu and Izumi shield Kuzuha to retaliate against it, utilizing Miu's shield and Izumi's water element. While the teachers and students evacuate the gym, Kuzuha is convinced that the 3 of them will fight united as friends, and then she smiles. The girls strike the beast with their magical abilities. However, it remains undestroyed due to its overpowering strength. Then, it attacks both Kuzuha and Izumi, who protected Miu, petrifying them both. Miu endeavors to fight back, but she has reached her limit and has lost all hope, until Akatsuki emerges unexpectedly to strike the monster, saving her life. He now possesses enough ADs to finally wield his weapon, an unusual sword known as Levitain. The confrontation between Akatsuki and the cockatrice commences, and he deflects its petrifying feathers with his left arm turning to stone. Yet, even with one arm, utilizing the 7 ADs he obtained from other students on his other arm, Akatsuki defeats the creature, leading it to explode. With the cockatrice vanquished, everyone is reverted to normal, and Miu is relieved that Kuzuha and Izumi are safe. Akatsuki rescued them, but he expresses pride in Miu, asserting that she did all the work in safeguarding both from being crushed to death. Meanwhile, back in the student council room, Haruka, Minami, and Ryohei discuss the perpetrator who used the master key to subdue the cockatrice. Elsewhere, in the boiler room, Tanaka is poised to open the door containing flames when Akatsuki arrives, finding him suspicious regarding the cockatrice incident. Akatsuki deduced that Onizuka was the one accountable for overpowering it, and that Tanaka was uninvolved. Then, Tanaka leaps forward and kicks Akatsuki in the chest. Akatsuki prepares to retaliate, yet Tanaka is exceedingly quick. He assaults him with his magical power in rapid succession, seemingly rendering him unconscious. However, Akatsuki swiftly rises and counterattacks, having not been affected at all by Tanaka's assault. Tanaka opts to employ his most potent yet perilous spell that will not only obliterate the entire building of Babel High School, despite its protective barriers, but also kill everyone inside. Suddenly, Tanaka is encased in a block of ice by the student council president himself, Kyoya, instantly concluding the conflict. Akatsuki returns to Miu and their friends, but not without informing Kyoya that they will resolve their confrontation later. Back in the gymnasium, Kuzuha, Izumi, Miu, and the teachers attend to the wounds of the other students. And as Akatsuki arrives, Miu loses consciousness and he carries her to the infirmary. A flashback depicts her father, Gallius, advising Miu to forgive and live with the man who killed him, unless he is deemed unworthy. Later that day, Miu awakens in the infirmary, and Akatsuki appears with 2 beverages, one for her. Subsequently, he utilizes his Nikiko to heal her. As she wishes that he would refrain from any naughty behavior in the future, he gently touches her face with his finger. Akatsuki tells Miu he desires for her to cry because ever since her father's death, she has not shed a tear. He further claims that only he can make her cry. When she feels sadness surging within her, she finally cries upon him. The following day, Miu awakens, and one of the buttons on her pajamas comes loose due to her large breasts. While she is showering, Akatsuki suddenly appears, hanging from the ceiling using his ability to walk on walls, which makes her scream. Later, during breakfast, Akatsuki is watching the news on TV as a man exits the airport, with the news anchor stating UN Kokun. Subsequently, at lunchtime, Izumi observes that Kuzuha has indeed brought her adorable little doll, and Kuzuha responds that a rep created a special case to permit them, while Miu continues pondering Kokun signifies. Kuzuha clarifies to Miu that Kokun stands for Children of Crossover Other Nations, and that it serves as the world's caregiver, instructing the children who have returned triumphant from other worlds. Meanwhile, during a Kokun meeting, the members converse about rumors of another hero, expressing concern that they might be the fake heroes. One member suggests that they should monitor Akatsuki, the true hero, for some time, Mew is anxious regarding Akatsuki and suspects a link between him and Recap-kun. Later, Mew invites Izumi and Kuzuha to accompany her on a shopping trip, and they agree to join her in purchasing panties, after which Izumi and Kuzuha begin to squabble. In a different location, on the rooftop, Akatsuki awaits a man from the airport. Someone approaches him. His name is Moto Haru Kaido, and he has heard of Akatsuki being the rumored true hero. He is about to extend his hand for a handshake, but instead, he throws a fist aimed at Akatsuki's face, which Akatsuki successfully blocks. The two are now prepared to engage in a one-on-one fight.